Mrs. Falpel?
Here.
Mrs. Butchko?
Here.
Mr. McMillan?
Here.
Mrs. Ezekiel?
Here.
Mrs. Marmion?
Here.
Mr. Schaefer?
Here.
And Mr. Stotts?
Here. Okay. We'll ask you to rise for the flag salute. The flag is still in the back of the room. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Okay, presentations. What's first? Liz Bolton. There she is. Okay, first presentation this evening is Jen Bolton's for the SSDS report.
Hello, this is another easy one. This is the school safety data report just for reporting period 1, which was from September 6th to December 23rd. Within that time frame, we only completed one HIV investigation, and that did not meet the definition of HIV at that time. And then we had our September trainings with the staff participating in GCN online tutorials for HIV, suicide prevention, and then we also had our Welcome Back Day when we did the school safety training, meaning we go over all the HIV forms and how staff report. And we also did the K-5 required lessons on HIV and prevention. And then we had a lot of programs. We did our Week of Respect, Violence Awareness Week, Red Ribbon Week. We ended our 3 months of the SEL curriculum being implemented and 3 months of the Character Ed program, the Hawks program being implemented. And that's all I reported for that reporting period. Any questions on the school safety data report? All right, thank you.
Okay, the next report is a CPAG presentation from Dr. Whitehouse.
Good evening. Thank you for having us today. So CPAG is our Special Education Parent Advisory Group, and it's a chance for our parents to give input into the special education services we give in our district. We actually have a parent representative from Oaklyn today who's going to give you the presentation, as well as our student representative. So I'm going to bring up Amy Hall and Alistair Rothberg. You're going to stay? Okay.
They're discussing that now.
As Dr. Whitehouse said, my name is Amy Hall. My family and I have lived here in Oaklyn since 2005, and we have 3 kids, 2 at Collingswood High School and 1 here at Oaklyn Public School in the 1st grade. And I've been involved in CPAG at meetings since before the pandemic, and then we did Zoom, but we're back in person now and hybrid meetings too. And CPAG has, it's something that I'm personally invested in. It's not only for my child who has an IEP, but other students, both present and future. I'm hopeful that my experience can help another family because there were not a lot of resources or parent groups or anything like that out there when my daughter was diagnosed with autism at 4. So, but during our meetings, we work in groups and we do a lot of brainstorming, and I found that to be really helpful to me as a parent to share stories and be able to bounce ideas off of other parents that could be going through the same thing when you really think that you're doing it all by yourself. So, and we're not. So, but that is how CPAG has helped me personally, and but they do have a bigger purpose, which I'm about to kind of read over. We had a slideshow and it didn't kind of go through, so I'm just going to read through it and hopefully make it interesting enough. Yes, we can share it. So our mission statement's on the front, and it's the Collingswood and Oaklyn CPAG is an empowering and inclusive partnership between stakeholders that supports students with disabilities. And about our CPAG, just a few things. All school districts in New Jersey are required to have a CPAG, and it is a parent-led group that we work in partnership with the school district. Dr. Whitehouse, I think, has been to pretty much every meeting, at least that I've been to. And also Ms. Vesper, who is Director she's been to a lot of meetings, and we've had teachers and a lot of parents. We meet once a month. Like I said before, we do a hybrid now, so it is working out the kinks with it, but working out, trying to be able to have people interact, from home. Yes. We have a membership of 70, which I did not realize, with regular attendance of about 20. And we focus on systemic issues related to special education. Our work is to create positive change in school culture through student and staff participation in 2 annual recognition weeks. We had one in December, which was an inclusive school week, and then we have one coming up, which is Neurodiversity Week, and that's in March. And we can share with you, we have some photos and things. You may have seen those. I think some of them were shared in December. We collaborate with the district on steps toward making our schools more inclusive, and we also share resources about disabilities and inclusion with our community. Inclusive School Week. That was Inclusive School Weeks was December 2nd through the 5th. It was at all Collinswood and Oakland schools. Educators shared their stories about disabilities and inclusion, and students had opportunities to ask questions. The week culminated in a variety of school-wide activities that celebrated what it means to be a part of an inclusive school and community. And we did receive, I was the go-to person, not that I had to do much because it was a lot of things were linked to teachers. But I checked in with Miss Bolden and got a lot of positive feedback about the week and that they want to do it again, which is wonderful. Um, and then Neurodiversity Week is coming up, and that's March 27th through the 31st. And this is to increase awareness of brain differences in our schools and community, to share information about neurotypes such as autism, ADHD, and dyslexia in a strength-based, inclusive way. We want people to understand how we can all support and accommodate students with brain differences in our community and celebrate being a part of a world that values all kinds of different minds. So steps towards inclusion, our next steps would be, CPAC members joined Superintendent Parent Advisory Council, um, and we have provided input, CPAC has provided input about budget priorities for the 23-24 budget, and CPAC is also exploring opportunities with organizations like NJCIE, which I think Dr. Whitehouse would be better to offer more staff training. Um, and we do want to make impact in the community as well, by sharing resources with our community about disabilities, inclusion, and special education. And we want to make our group accessible and inclusive so it represents the diversity of our larger community. And we have ways to follow us, Gmail, Facebook, and just to close, we're always looking for new members. It's also helpful, it would be helpful to have, family members that don't have kids that are neurodivergent, that have neurotypical kids, because we'd really like their input in our discussions and how we plan things as well and what they think might work better. We've also had some high school students attend the meetings, and it's always helpful to have their input. My daughter Alistair's here tonight. She's been to one of the meetings, and a classmate of hers as well. So thank you very much.
Our next meeting is Wednesday, March 15th, and Mrs. Golden will send out the Zoom link and the information.
So the board knows the presentation was attached to your agenda. Yeah, we just didn't have a stick for there. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, ladies. Very good. Appreciate it. Allison, too.
We got it today. I put it up today. I put it on this morning. Or, well, Anita put it on, but yeah, no.
Okay. Okay, is there a motion to go into committee of the whole?
We have a counseling presentation, Ms. Bolden?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I was going to say, I'm-
Yep, absolutely.
So, good evening. My name is Vivian Barnett, and I'm presenting
Vivian,
tonight.
excuse me. Could you stand closer to the mic, please? I had
Sure.
some complaints from people that watch this on TV,
Got you.
and
Okay.
that mic, they say,
Okay.
isn't as loud as everybody else's.
Okay.
Thank you.
Very good. So again, my name is Vivian Barnett. I'm the counselor here at school, and I'm really delighted to have the chance to present our counseling program here at Oaklyn. All right, so I wanted you to get to know a little bit about me first. I'm licensed and clinically trained as a social worker. My background is in children and families. I've also worked in crisis intervention and crisis response, both with children and adults. I also have my school social worker certification, and I've had experience working in other schools before I came here to Oaklyn, and my background in those schools was special education. And my philosophy is I work really hard to be child-centered. I look at person in environment, which means not focusing on a diagnosis per se, but looking at a child and what might be happening in their life to cause the behavior or whatever I'm seeing. I also use trauma-informed practices in my work. And I've been here at OPS since October of 2019, and what a year it was to start. So my program, just like our SEL curriculum, is based on the five core pieces of social emotional learning. So I think you've probably seen this before, but just in case, self-management, self-awareness, responsible decision-making, relationship skills, and social awareness. So these are the things that I focus on in my work, and they also align with our curriculum in the classroom. So the services I provide, I'll do classroom lessons. Like today, I went into a 4th grade class and we learned about executive functions. So we learned the different aspects of executive function, and then they got to do time management activity together, which was really fun. I do small group counseling. So for instance, tomorrow I'm doing a group with kindergartners on self-management. You can imagine how fun that will be. I do individual counseling as well. I consult with teachers and families. I will respond to behavior and crisis intervention, and that would include if there's a student who's having a particularly difficult day, or unfortunately we've had situations where there are children who've expressed some suicidal thoughts, and I'll intervene in those as well. I also work with the multi-tiered system of support, providing support for social, emotional, and attendance needs. We've been really focusing this year, now that we are beyond the pandemic, on trying to get more of our families into a routine of attending school regularly. So for some of the Tier 3 interventions, I've created some behavior contracts with students, and then they get different incentives for coming to school on a regular basis. And it does seem to be something that works well with them. Ms. Bolden and I have also intervened and have meetings with families to work on reasons why
the children might not be coming to school. Sometimes it could be school anxiety. Other times it just might be parents have difficulty getting their kids to school on time. So we try to work through those problems and try and come to a solution together. I also make referrals to outside resources and outside providers. I'm the coordinator for our Tier 3 counseling program, which is the grant that we have through Jefferson. Are you all familiar with the Jefferson grant? So I communicate regularly with the counselor who works with our students. I'm the 504 plan coordinator. I'm also the anti-bullying specialist, and I serve as a member of the child study team, really sitting with the team on initial referrals and then serving as backup for behavior needs and the like. So I thought it would be good to give you just a little idea of the numbers. So you can see consultation with families. Last year, I had about 75. This year, year to date, I'm up to 87. Consultation with teachers, last year 45. This year, up to 63. Behavior and crisis intervention, last year 16. This year, up to 43. And I will say that that does really align with the reported experiences of my colleagues. I'm a member of the National Association of Social Workers, the New Jersey chapter, and also School Social Workers Association. And unfortunately, there has been a rise in behavior incidents in schools. So this last year I had 117 students come to my office. This year I instituted a new program. I really wanted to try and raise awareness, so I put a mailbox outside my office door and went into all the classrooms at the beginning of the year and just explained to kids how they could get in touch with me if they wanted to talk with me. And so this year, so far, I've had 190 kids come to see me. Some of them are, frequent flyers, I'll admit that. But I usually will work with the teachers to try and make sure that I'm minimizing time out of the classroom. And so that would be coming during recess, lunch, or, SEL time, other opportunities, morning meetings sometimes kids will miss. And I also try to get kids first thing in the morning upon arrival. So last year I did 232 classroom lessons, but last year was different because I was one of the people doing the SEL lessons. This year the SEL lessons are being done by teachers, so it's actually freed me up to be able to see more students and interact more with the Oaklyn community. Group and individual sessions. So last year I had 79 of those. This year, year to date, I'm at 33 and pretty much on track. I should equal that out, the 79 by the end of the year. Oh, I'm sorry. And the last one was, HIV investigations. Last year had 8. This year so far have 3. So just finally, I wanted to say that working here is just really a dream for me. I really feel fortunate to work with, first of all, a wonderful principal who is just so child-centered, and the staff here is just the same. So it really is a wonderful place, and I want to thank all of you for your support and for allowing me to present tonight. And then lastly, I just wanted to see if you had any questions. Oh, yes. So the one was what I had said about how it aligns. It's just notes, like to explain the differential. Yeah, no, that's okay, because the numbers are so far off that I just wanted you to have some context for those. Any other? Good question. Thank you. I knew you were listening then.
Question on your opinion.
Yes.
As far as the mental health of our students, are we getting better? Are we staying the same? Are we getting worse?
That's an interesting question. I think that in the middle school and high school, you probably see a whole lot more mental health issues. I think think our kids are getting better in that they're being here in school is a place where they feel happy, accepted, included. So I think behavior still remains an issue. I think when kids are coming to my office, it feels a lot less dire. It feels a lot more hopeful to be able to talk about the future. And so I hope that answers your question.
It does, but now you've just, in answering that question, I've now got another question for you.
Okay.
You say disciplinary, not disciplinary, issues with
Behavior.
yeah, thank you. Uh, what kind of behavior problems do we have?
Um, we
Just
see kids who are having issues with self-regulation. See some kids who are having issues with work completion, and sometimes that's related to anxiety. Seeing kids who just are having difficulty coming to school, and so we're dealing with school anxiety. So when they're here, they're coming to see me a lot, and we have to talk through what's going on. And I always try to give students the resources. I don't want to give them the answers. We work together to try and find the answers together. So hopefully that answers your question.
yes, it does. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question. Can we have the presentation sent to us?
Of course.
And I have a comment. I hear not only from myself but from others what an incredible resource it is to have Mrs. Barnett and a school counselor at our school. So thank you for what you do on behalf of all of the families that I connect with. And it's really a value added for our school in particular compared to others in the area. We're really lucky.
Thank
so
you.
thanks.
Thank you. I feel lucky too, really. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're now ready to go to committee of the whole. Is there a motion to do so?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Moved and second. All those in favor? Opposed? Okay, 2-0. We win. Okay, we're now in committee of the whole. Question: the committee questions that Therese raised, can they be discussed in executive session, or do we have to discuss them in public session? Is that one of the items that we went into executive session for? No. Okay. Now. I'm sorry. Well, there are only certain items you can discuss in executive session. Committee assignments are not one of them, unless we can squeeze it in somewhere, legal activity or something. I'm sorry? The structure. Again, that's not a subject for executive session, unfortunately. Want to discuss it now?
Happy to discuss it now. Well, we have a vacancy on the board currently.
We do.
I thought it would be a good idea when I joined the board in 2017, there were 3 committees. There was a bit of confusion in this past month. There were two. Forgive me. But there, as such, with 9 members, that's why. Sorry, math not my strong suit. Apologies. So there was never an even number, and there was an alternate. Correct, if I'm getting that right. I would like to see personally it be 3 committees of 3, and I think it would be helpful to have a better communication line from the committee chairs to the rest of the board. Only because Mr. Stotts, our fearless leader, attends every committee meeting, but as such, you're the only one who knows everything going on. And the way that our agendas and our committee meetings are structured, it's not such that I can see information from the finance committee and fully understand what it is unless I seek it out. I think we could be more efficient with our board business if we had some kind of structure where there was dissemination of information to all members of the board. And I'm not the hugest fan of one person knowing absolutely everything, and some people knowing a tiny bit of that. So that is my piece.
Okay, and I agree with that. I think everybody on this board should know everything. I've suggested in the past we function as a committee of the whole, where everybody knows everything, but nobody wanted to do that. That would increase the time in the meeting a little bit, but it would also eliminate one night a week. All the committee meetings that night would be gone, so it's probably about a standoff. We do have three committees, and they are 3 members each. The president sits on each one. That's me at this point, lucky. And yes, I'm the only one that knows everything that's going on in every committee. What we need to do, and I'll ask the committee chairs henceforth and forevermore, instead of reading the statement of what the committee does, give us a report of what has happened in that committee meeting so that you'll know that. But you're getting that at the committee meeting, and it's being read into the agenda, and you're voting on it as soon as that's over. So you're not going to have a lot of time to think about it anyway. So I'm open to doing something a different way. I just don't know what else it could be. We can't have more than 3 people on a committee. Or I'm sorry, we can't have more than 4 people on a committee, because then we have a quorum and it has to be a public meeting. So we can not have more than 4 people on any one committee. We have 3 committees. I'm really not in favor of adding any more committees. That's just going to carry things out. So I don't know. We can try this, see if the committee chairs can get it together and get some information out to everybody.
And I just had a thought too, because there's certain times of the year where, like in the beginning of the school year, there's a lot of personnel items, a lot of curriculum, and then when it gets to be like December, January, February, not so much on curriculum. So I don't want to say, I don't want to say those committees you don't need to have that committee, but I feel like you don't need to meet just to meet if there's really nothing to discuss. So do we have some committees that are like rotating, like as needed we'll call a curriculum committee? Food
Okay.
for thought, no way. But I'm just saying there's some stuff like obviously personnel and finance we need to talk about every month. You guys need to know what's going on, hands down. But like curriculum, it's kind of as it happens, and it's very cyclical.
But what are you suggesting to get the information out to everybody? No, if there's nothing on curriculum, and like this month, we didn't have a curriculum meeting, or curriculum committee meeting. So there's really nothing to report at this point in time.
Correct.
From that aspect. Now,
And when you put curriculum and personnel together, which I believe it is right now, which they are, it kind of makes it like we had nothing for curriculum and maybe one item for personnel, and then I feel bad you guys have to come out to talk for like 2 minutes. You know what I mean?
talk slow.
Very slow. But I want your meetings to be substantive. I want you to get the information you need, but I don't want to call you out on a weeknight for like 5 minutes when there's obviously other things you guys can be doing. So I'm open to any suggestions. I just want, as you're thinking about it, you don't have to make a decision tonight, but like just remember, like, if curriculum and personnel don't need to meet, then we don't meet that month. And maybe we cycle through other people through finance, maybe. So everybody gets an eye-opening experience of working with me on a more regular basis. But you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I kind of like everybody doing a tour of duty on other committees regularly just to get an appreciation of all the aspects of the
So
school district.
I agree with that, but that's actually why I don't like committee meetings being canceled. Only because, last year I was on the community relations committee, but I would often ask questions about other committee agenda items in our committee meeting because I don't have an opportunity to ask about those in a non-public session, right? So I like having the opportunity to meet even if it's not related to community relations per se. I mean, I'm on a different committee
All right,
now, so
here's
it's
a
different.
thought.
But yeah.
So here's a thought. Because of your school size and agenda-wise, would it make sense? Don't answer now. You might, chew on it. Do we get rid of the named committees and we just say ABC, and everybody rotates like once a month? Dr. McDowell and I and Mrs.
McPartland will be here, and we will go through the agenda with all of you, but at different times so that we don't have a quorum, so everybody knows what's on there. If there's nothing to talk about with curriculum that month, then Mrs. McPartland won't be there. But Dr. McDowell and I will be there to hopefully answer any questions. That's a food for thought, because then everybody kind of gets the explanation of all the items that are on the agenda for vote.
That's
Like, I
really what I'm more getting at. I don't know if we need to, structure it as such, but if I'm looking at the agenda for finance, I'm not on the committee, and I'm looking at the items that aren't for public discussion or vote. There's maybe 3 words that I recognize, but I don't know what that means. And if we're not going to talk about it here, I don't know what your discussion was, what the outcome was. I'm not saying I need to have a say in it, especially if it's not a board voting item. That's correct. I think committee work in small groups based on the talents and skills and interests of our board members is important. But it would be nice to know, okay, I saw on there that you guys were talking about XYZ. What was the discussion? What was the outcome?
So I think that some of the points that everyone's brought up tonight, just to consider Bill's point earlier about maybe swapping out our committee meetings for just committee of the whole. I think we should really stop and consider that, especially if there's going to be some nights or months where a certain committee won't need to meet, that can easily be addressed and discussed as committee of the whole. So I think that's certainly worth some thought, if I'm understanding it correctly, sacrificing our monthly committee meetings and have that take place at committee of the whole. I think that's worth some thought and consideration.
Can I just give you why I don't
Well, because
particularly
I do know
administratively why?
there are some things that can't be discussed necessarily publicly.
Because I did this in my previous district. We had what was called a work session, and then the week later you came back and you had the regular session, which I would say to myself, why the hell am I repeating myself 2 weeks in a row? I just feel like do the meeting and then vote on everything at the end, like coming back and forth. I just thought it was mind-numbingly ridiculous, my opinion. But there's a lot of things, and this is just having worked with the 2 districts, a lot of things we can't talk about in public. There's a lot of, especially this time of year, there's a lot of work product that I speak very candidly with all of you, and I give a lot of information that the public really shouldn't have. So it makes, especially during budget time and maybe like in August and September where we're doing a lot of hiring, makes it, I don't know how we have the constructive discussion we have in some of the committees in public. So in districts that do that, they're going in and out of executive session constantly. So you're taking a meeting that would typically be, so maybe we have like an hour, hour and a half of committees, and then the next week we have an hour board meeting. You might have a work session or a board meeting that might be a few hours. Like if it's a bad budget year or a year where you're hiring a lot of personnel, you're constantly going into closed session because you're talking about things that we can't legally disclose. So that's my only caveat, because and I don't want to be the policeman and telling people to be quiet in a public meeting because they can't say things, or the public asking questions about specific staff members that we can't reply to. It's a very sticky wicket, very thin line that I just want to throw that out there, that that's going to be a tough one.
So just I think that's a fair point. So just another thought. I don't know if this is a good idea or happy medium or not. If we maybe just keep the regular finance committee meetings, we maybe do a rotation so we all have exposure to the finance committee meetings, but the other committees are left for committee of the whole. I don't know if that makes any sense or if that complicates matters more, but just a thought that we can keep the finance committee meetings as a committee.
It sounds like we're making it more complicated than it needs
Well,
to be.
it might be,
It worked for years, kind of the other way. And the biggest thing we had talked about previously, though, was that the committee chairs would then share information. That never happened. And so I think that maybe the first step before restructuring everything, changing everybody's schedule, changing the way everything's been doing, is let's try that. See if that works, because if that is working, because that was what we had talked about before, and
Yeah.
it just never implemented, then it may solve the problem.
Colleen, as a committee chair, I will volunteer that immediately the evening after every committee meeting, I would be happy to share with Ms. Coleman, I guess, the notes, because I don't want to send an email that would be a quorum or whatever. But
No, like
but I could
can
send the
even
notes
put
of our
that.
discussion notes.
Yeah.
I'd be happy to do that. I would love to see something like that. And I know I'm adding more work, but what happens is there are side discussions that happen. There are questions that happen. And I don't think we're doing our work as productively when we're here. So just something to try. I'm willing to do it. I'm not forcing anybody else to do that, but I will do that going forward.
Yeah, I mean, as committee chair, I'd be willing to do that. And I mean, as VP, if there's more you want to send my way to disseminate, I'll happily do that for the board as well. So
I think if we try that for a couple months and see if it works and it makes people feel better, and then if it doesn't, I mean, if you're talking, it's February now. If you try it for a few months, get to the summer. If it hasn't worked by then, we'll know because somebody will have said something before then, and we can restructure, and it'll be a little easier to further discuss it when you're not in the middle of the school year with budget stuff coming up and all that other stuff.
Any other ideas?
And I just want you to know that we have the same discussion in Collingswood all the time too. Like,
Some
you know,
research and
it's
on
very
NJSBA,
normal
a
for
lot
other
of
committees to
districts
not
do.
know what the other committee is going. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's just very normal because you come to a meeting and you're voting on stuff and you're like, I kind of know what it is, but I don't know everything. You know, so they have the same. It's
But
just, it's just
I
normal.
was noticing that work and decisions would be made in committee, and then there would be constant retraction questions and what have you post. So I didn't feel like we were using our time in committee or in this board meeting as efficiently as we could. I think this could help solve that problem. So thank you.
All right, I'll tell you what, next month we'll continue with just what we have right now for next month, with the exception that the committee chairs will give a report before we start. I like Beth Ann's idea, the A, B, and C committee. Now, the downside to that is you and Fred and Jen and the other Jen are going to have to come to 3 meetings. So you're going to have to be there for each one. From my end, it's
I
great.
kind of
because
do
now I only
anyway.
have to go to one.
Like, we're here anyway, so
Yeah,
you know that.
no,
But again,
everybody's
whatever.
not here for all 3 meetings. Now you are. But
Right. So we are.
Fred
We're
and
here.
Jen
Correct.
and
Or
Jen
the
are
other
not here.
option is 2, and as it turns out, it seems like every month somebody's not here, right? So if we know that in advance, then you don't have to have 3 meetings. We could have 2 because we know that board member number 9 is not going to be here. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So
So
that there'd be,
everybody's
like,
kind of
4 and 3.
somebody's moving
Or-
every
yeah,
month.
yeah, yeah.
And we did that before, and it was scheduled, and it didn't work. Nobody liked it. So I mean,
No. I'm just
it's-
saying. I'm just saying. In advance, if we know that someone cannot attend a community meeting, we don't have to have 3 meetings because we don't have to worry about the number.
What I'm saying is,
You know, we
before
can
we did that,
Yeah.
and people complained about the fact that one person wasn't at the meeting. So we're not going to make everybody happy no matter what we do. So we can just try things one thing at a time and see what works and hope for the best.
I'm not saying to assign someone to be absent. I'm saying if someone cannot be there because of a work commitment, then
The problem historically
Mrs.
was
Coleman doesn't have to be there for 3
the
meetings.
people that were going to miss the meeting never called anybody to tell them they were done everybody.
Well, and that's
But
also
that
an
happens
issue, and I
frequently.
think we need to address that also.
Okay, well,
we need
for
to know if
next
people
month-
are not coming to committee meetings. Yeah, that's important.
Okay,
too.
well, again, for next month, we're going to try.
Yeah.
We'll keep what we got next month.
Yeah.
The month after, we're going to try Beth Ann's. Now, I ask you to think about it between now and next month. If if it's a bad idea, or if somebody comes up with something that's not going to work out of that, let us know. But same for you guys. For me, it's great because now I only have to attend 1 meeting. It's terrific from that.
So-
but for you
so
guys,
how-
now you're going to have to attend 3.
How are these? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna have standard committees. The chair is gonna write up something, and then how's that report being delivered to the other committees?
I think maybe
in
putting
Collingswood,
board
like
docs.
they've sent sometimes the email. I know Mr. Craig, the chair of the finance committee in Collingswood, at the beginning of the finance committee meeting, he kind of does like a little report, like he does like what our goal is, and then things that we talked about in committee. He does like a little report,
I was
like
just
at
thi-
the regular meeting. Yeah.
I was just thinking, emailing the whole report will be a quorum, right? Like it'll be public if you emailed the report to everyone.
You can email it. You can't start talking back and forth because then it's a public meeting. You can't like reply all and then do all that kind of crazy stuff.
and you probably could exclude your own committee members as they would already know. So that would also eliminate the quorum.
Okay, next month we're going to do the same thing we did this month. And in the meantime, everybody think about it. We'll have another discussion next month in the committee of the whole, and we'll decide then whether we change it, whether we go to some hybrid plan, whatever we do. Okay, we in agreement? Semi-agreement? Okay, good. Okay, Anybody have anything else for the committee of the whole? Okay, hearing none, is there a motion to come out of the committee of the whole?
I just had a question, just because I know we talked about in finance, the shared services. Do you want to wait to discuss those, or do you want to discuss those now? The shared service agreement?
With the mask on, I can't hear anyway.
Sorry, my husband has COVID, so I'm trying to protect everybody. Do you want to discuss the shared services agreements now, or when we get to the finance discussion?
Yeah, we'll do it in the finance committee.
Okay.
You're going to have to vote to approve them at that point anyway. All right. Okay, is there a motion to come out of committee of the whole?
So moved.
Second.
And a second? Okay, thank you. All those in favor? Opposed? Okay. Back to the agenda. Section 4 is the future dates, some of which are interesting, gym night, whatnot, but you can peruse them at your convenience. That's everything you'll need to know for the next month. And we're down to Section 5, which is approval of the minutes from the January meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we had a second. You got that? Okay. Okay, it's moved and seconded. All those in favor? Oh, well, I'm sorry. Before I get to that, are there any corrections or additions? Now, all those in favor? Opposed? So moved. There's no unfinished business at this point, so we're up to our first public comment section. The rules are the same as they always are. Please come up to the microphone, tell us your name and address, try and keep your comments to 5 minutes or less, and this section is for agenda items only. You'll have an opportunity later in the meeting to address anything else that you might have. So at this point, is there anyone that wishes to bring anything to the board on an agenda item? Good meeting. Okay, we go to the superintendent's report on section 7.
So good evening, everyone. Section 7.01 is the enrollment report. January of 22, enrollment was 265. As of January 31st, 2023, enrollment is 275 with the principal's report attached. .02, .03, and .04 are the school safety drill reports, the suspension report, and the anti-bullying report, with .05 being the child study team report, and all 4 of those are also attached.
Okay, thank you, Dr. McDowell. I have a question. I got a couple questions on the, maybe this isn't the section, maybe it is. Well, I'll start. You won't have the answers. These are for Jen. We added 10 students from last month to this month. But if I look through the principal's report, it doesn't show 10 additional students. So that's question A. Where did they come from? And then question B is the pre-K. Now, we had a lot of discussions about this during the committee section. And I'm told that there are 47 students in pre-K. But, I'm sorry, well, it's 52 in the report. But Jen told me there were 47, so.
And
6 preschool disabled. Okay. And they don't show anywhere? Oh, the 52 includes them. They do show. All right, 47 and 6 don't add up to 52, though, even in my math. Now, you would say we don't get funding for special ed for preschool. Are the preschool disabled considered special ed? So that we pay for ourselves. Oh, it's IDEA. Okay. But the numbers still don't add up. I still have a problem. Okay. about the 10 students that show on this report? Sorry? I'm looking at your report that you give us at the... I'm sorry, maybe we're not looking at the same, or thinking the same thing. I've got a report that shows pre-K through 5th grade. Yeah, no, you misunderstand. We're saying that we added 10 students. We're saying we added 10 students in January.
Where are you saying that we added 10 students at? I'm missing that
Superintendent's
part.
report. Oh, we had them a year. I'm sorry. Oh, never mind. It shows I was trying to read it anyway. Okay. Thanks, Jen. Thanks, Jen. Nice job. Okay. Anybody have any questions on superintendent's report? Did you mention Dr. Whitehouse's report? Okay. In that case, we'll go to Section 8, Business Administrator's report.
Tonight I have for your approval your budget transfers for the month of January in item 8.01. 8.02 is your board secretary, treasurer, and cash reports. 8.03 is a listing of the purchase orders that were issued for the month of February. And 8.04 is a listing of the warrants to be paid tomorrow morning, pending approval this evening. And Mr. Taby is absent, so I will go into the finance, buildings, and grounds if that's okay.
Okay, great.
Okay. So items 9.01 through 9.06 are all those items that I just mentioned, your monthly approvals of your financial statements and bills. I guess I can do them as a group, but 9.07 through 9.11 are all the shared service agreements between Collingswood and Oaklyn for the following school year, 23-24. Item 9.12 is just approving the Healthy Kids program to run a summer program for the Oaklyn residents at Oaklyn Elementary. And 9.13 is the use of facilities for OMASAC. And then 9.14, I am just going to add on here, I'm going to add the word pending because their insurance certificate, it was handwritten, it is still handwritten. So I'm going to say pending. I did email my assistant as I was sitting here. If we don't get, because it's due to start March 1st, if we don't get a real insurance certificate that's not handwritten, we will pull this back and we will not allow them to start. So it's pending a proper insurance certificate. So with that, items 9.01 through 9.14.
Okay, thanks, Beth Ann.
Yep.
Okay, are there any questions on any of these items? Oh, I'm sorry, I got a motion first. Do we have a motion to approve them?
So moved.
Second.
A second, moved and seconded. Okay, now, are there any questions on any of these items? Okay, I have not a question but a comment. The agreements, there is, from my point of view anyway, there is absolutely no problem with the services provided by Collingswood under any of these agreements. Everything is top notch. I guess something could always be better, but I'm not sure how at this point in time. It is well done. The only question I have, the only concern I have, is the administrative services agreement. And Beth Ann have argued back and forth for 2 weeks about this. These agreements, if an individual can be assigned to a specific function, the preschool preschool assistant principal does so many Collingswood classes, does so many Oaklyn classes. That's an even split. You can divide how it works out. For everybody else, where salaries are involved, we've been using, or we use for all these agreements, 8.5 or 12% for the salary for everybody on here. There's one exception, and that's under the administrative services. We have one employee under that. That's 100% charged to Oaklyn, although that person doesn't work 100% of the time for Oaklyn. I don't know what the percentage is, but I know it's not 100%. And the answer is that it's always been done that way. Yes, I'm sure it has. It's always been charged at 100%. But from my end, that doesn't make it right that it's always been that way. I mean, all the time we sent 6th and 9th grade to Collingswood, all the time we've had a flat service agreement for year to year, $1,500,000. This year we're doing it on a tuition basis, so forever varies sometimes.
I'm sorry, it's still flat for 6th through 8th. Only 9th grade is the tuition rate. That was the only change. So we still have a flat rate for 6th through 8th.
Okay, after my last little fiasco, I'm not prepared to say
You
that.
approved that already, right? In December?
Yeah, your middle school's a flat rate for the next 5 years, 1.4 million, and the 9th grade is now being included with the high school tuition for at high school rate, which 9th graders are high school, so that makes
So
sense.
there's no adjustment for middle school tuition.
Not for 5 years.
No, under the agreement that we're going to approve tonight.
We're not approving middle school tuition tonight.
We already approved the tuition agreement in, I
I don't know
think
what
it was
you're talking about.
December or November. It was in the fall that we approved the tuition agreement.
Okay.
Yes.
And when we approved that, was it a flat charge for the?
Yes.
Correct. Yes.
Okay, good. No adjustment. All right, that's fine. I'm just concerned about that. There's nothing we can really do about that at this point in time. We can reject the contract. If we do that, we have one or two options. We can try and negotiate with Collingswood. They've already said they don't want to negotiate. We could try and find somebody else that could provide the same service, another district that could provide the same service for less. We could bring it back into Oaklyn to provide all the services. None of those are probably terribly attractive, and at this point in time, none of them are possible. I mean, we'd have to have something in place by July 1st, and that's not going to happen. So that's only a comment.
Can I give my side of the argument
Absolutely,
to the board
yeah.
members that were present at the finance committee and those who didn't read the email? Back in 2013, when I was approached to take over Oakland Public School, I met with the superintendent at the time of Collingswood School and the board president at the time of Collingswood, and I said I would only do it if I could hire a full-time accountant. So all these shared service agreements that we have structured, 12% of everyone's salaries who services Oakland, so we've got 8 staff members, not including myself and Dr. McDowell, so 10 technically in the board office that are charged 12% of their salaries. That's it. We treat Oakland like another elementary school. We look at the enrollment. The only exception has ever been the accountant. Reason being, it's about 50% of her time is Oakland and 50% is Collingswood. She's considered my assistant. So for every function that I perform for Collingswood, I have to do for Oakland. For example, 2 budgets, 2 audits, 2 payrolls every month, 2 benefits every month. Like everything is double, like the big reporting of what she and I work in tandem to create these documents on behalf of Collingswood and Oakland. Everybody else, it might be a couple pieces of paper a day for Oakland, right? Or like an agenda item coming through, but it's not like the volume of like the financial statements. She completes them for me, and then I review them before I bring them to you. Like she does the bank recs for me. So it's a really it's a very good 50-50 split. And actually, and I went back because when I did get the comments, my head wanted to explode. I'm not going to lie. I went back to 2013 because my spreadsheet that I do for all of the shared service agreements to make sure that they are fair and equitable, literally there's a tab that goes all the way back to 2013. If I split her salary to her salary and benefits at 50% and mine, you guys would be paying more. I'm only charged 12% because now back in 2013, that's what I told the superintendent. I said, I need a full-time accountant or an assistant. Charge my time, and God knows I spend more than 12% of my time on Oakland. Only 12% of me and 100% of her. And that was fair because it was a lot cheaper than doing 50% of me and 50% of her. Now, I ran the numbers again. We can change it, but it would cost you $55,000 more if I did based on actual work product. but we felt this was fair based on the size of Oakland School in comparison to Collingswood, and it's been this way for 9 years. And I personally don't see a reason to change it. Yes, did it increase? They all increase. Salaries and benefits go up every single year. It's unavoidable. Other than that, the work product is the same. There have been no audit recommendations. I think we're doing a good job, and that's it. I'm done.
Okay, this is the argument that we've been having for 2 weeks, and we'll probably continue it. Was the the accountant spends 50% of her time on Oaklyn doing the spreadsheets and that sort of thing, and then you have to look at them. But I don't think you're reviewing her work product takes 50% of your time. I don't think a 50% charge.
Oh, but I
is
think
appropriate.
that the emails and the calls and this other stuff that I do on a regular basis, I would say it's a pretty good split. Again, there's 2 boards, so there's 9 of you. I've got all of Collingswood.
Even if we
So the
were
work
to,
is very similar. So if I have a committee meeting with you where I'm spending 3 hours with you, I'm spending the same 3 hours with Collingswood. So it's actually a very good indication. It's 50-50.
but also when you're, if we were to, because I thought a lot about this, because I did sit in, for those of you who don't know, because people weren't able to be there, I sat in on the finance committee. Even if you're welcome, even if we were to say, okay, Beth Ann, please bill your hours. Like, let's watch you for a week. Just tell us, how would you count the hours when you're doing something that benefits both districts? I don't think that's necessarily 50-50. All of these shared services agreement that we're approving tonight, I mean, it's she and her assistant, the accountant, have to be thinking of both sides like that. I just really don't. I think the agreement is generous as it is, and that's my.
Thank you.
Agree. I think paying only 12% for what Beth Ann does for us is a bargain.
Thank you. And it sparked my memory. I remember going back when we were originally negotiating this, and Bill probably is going to remember this. In the very beginning, the Oakland board was very structured on, they wanted a schedule of, remember this? The hours that the superintendent and I.
What I had for breakfast. Are you kidding?
No, and they wanted literally a schedule. What days of the week would the superintendent and the business administrator be in the Oakland school, and how many hours will be? And like they wanted to watch us, right? And I shot that down. I said, I don't work that way. Just because you don't see me doesn't mean I'm not providing the work product for you. If my stuff's getting done, I'm working for you. So we kind of got away from that. I need to see you for 2 days a week, so I know that like you're working for me. We kind of got the board away from that, and that's where we wound up with the 12% and the trying to be as fair as we can. But originally, it did start out with the I need to see you situation.
I think history has shown us that everything's been working.
Oh, correct. No doubt about it. Absolutely. I said that before I started all of this. That the service is top notch. I mean,
But I mean, I think it has worked, and like she's explaining, the excess that she's doing kind of takes up for what she's not billing us, but you're billing her assistant. It all, you really broke it down. It would probably all work out in the in the end. Like she said, it's still benefiting us to do it this way. Everybody's getting paid. All the work's getting done. We're not getting any bad audits, and we're
Well, that's
ultimately
true.
saving. So I agree with not changing anything.
okay. Okay, the motion is on the floor. Any further discussion on it? Motion is to approve items 9.01 through 9.14. Okay, on a roll call.
Mrs. Valpel,
Yes.
Mrs. Butchko,
Yes.
Mr. McMillan,
Yes.
Mrs. Ezekiel,
Yes.
Mrs. Marmion,
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer,
Yes.
Mr. Stotts.
Yes. Can I just make one clarification? You had said that the 9.14 is pending having a certificate of insurance by March 1st.
Correct.
That's correct. So
Yeah,
March 2nd.
I emailed my assistant and Keith's assistant to circle back with them.
So if we don't have the certificate on March 2nd,
Then they will be asked to not show up.
there's
Correct.
no
Mhm.
permission granted. Okay. All right. That's fine. Thank you. Okay.
You need to vote. You haven't voted.
I'm sorry.
Did he say yes? Okay.
We have everybody, right? Okay. Okay. Section 10, curriculum and personnel. Todd.
All right, so item 10.01, we're going to be approving a couple of field trips in the spring, one to the Museum of the American Revolution and another to the Constitution Center. I gladly chaperone if you need another hand with those strips. Item 10.02 is out-of-district placement for a student. That placement will be at Bankbridge. Item 10.03, we are approving substitute James. I just had his name here. Sorry. I'm sorry, Justin Cordray. And item 10.04, we do not have any travel expenses at this time. So we're looking for approval on items 10.01 through 10.04.
Okay.
Or 10.03, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So we're seeking approval on items 10.01 through 10.03.
Okay.
My apologies.
Okay, is there a motion for that?
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any questions on anything? On a roll call.
Mrs. Faupel?
Yes.
Mrs. Butchko?
Yes.
Mr. McMillan?
Yes.
Mrs. Ezekiel?
Yes.
Mrs. Marmion?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mr. Stotts?
Yes. Okay, section 11, school community relations and policy. Therese.
Okay, so sorry, my computer just went haywire. So I'm going back to the paper. So apologies. So the PTA liaison report that just needs to be changed. That's me now because you guys haven't gotten.
I'm sorry.
I know
I
you're
thought
not
I asked
sick
for it
enough
to
of
be
hearing me
changed.
talk.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Sure. No,
I thought I
it's okay. I
corrected it
just
last
wanted
month.
to.
I will
That's
correct it
why I'm
again.
going to talk more than is on this sheet. So the PTA last met on February 7th. They hosted a family fun night bingo night on January 20th, which was a big success. There was a PTA blood drive, community blood drive that had 42 pints of blood donated. There was the library ran a scholastic book fair that the PTA supported, and it was quite a success at the end of January. The chess club has started. It began on February 6th. It meets twice a month for 4th and 5th graders. A great additional club, after school club. There was a family fun night, movie night of Puss in Boots on February 10th, and that was very well attended. Coming up, I think you saw on some of the upcoming important dates, but there will be a dine and donate and also a manor mixer, as they're calling it, at the Oaklyn Manor tomorrow evening from 6 to 9. It's dine-in only. So it's a fundraiser and an opportunity for families to meet each other and connect with PTA leaders and volunteers. The talent show is back in person on March 9th. Rehearsals start tomorrow night. It's a very full show, a couple dozen kids. It's and the Oaklyn teachers and staff. So I hear. So definitely come out for that. It'll be 7:00 p.m. on March 9th. And then the family reading experience is February 28th, starting at 6:45. There'll be a book swap, masked readers, and arts and crafts. The PTA next will meet on March 1st at 6:30. Sorry, is the next thing OMASAC? That's too many. Okay, and I'm going to keep talking. So OMASAC has not had a meeting since we last met, but gym night's coming up, as you saw, February 24th, this Friday, and that's for 4th graders and up. And then March 24th, which I believe is the celebrity gym night. So that's always exciting. That's the last one. The next meeting is Monday, February 27th at 7:30, probably on Zoom. OMASAC is working with Ms. Bolden and the school on scheduling an assembly, a BMX assembly, which has been done in the past. And hot off the presses, it is scheduled for May 10th. So that should be really wonderful. So OMASAC is happy to be funding that, and there will be, an anti-drug messaging as part of it in the title. But it is a great thing that they can collaborate on. OMASAC is also working with Collingswood High School to spend red ribbon money on anti-vaping programming, and OMASAC is happy to report that they may be receiving additional grant money from the county. And that's it. Next is Collingswood. All right,
Okay.
sorry.
I can do that. January 23rd was the Collingswood meeting, last one. There was a Start Strong presentation by Winter Yamamoto, which is the same type of presentation he did for us last month as well. The Committee of the Whole discussed the start strong presentation, asking what it tells us, what the numbers mean. The budget calendar was discussed, and discipline and environment at the school were discussed. The student report was interesting last month in Collingswood. There was some serious concerns expressed by the two student reps, one of which is an Oaklyn kid, the other one was a Collingswood kid. The public comment discussion reiterated pretty much what the students were saying. There was discussion from the public about an SRO. They were not in favor of an SRO in Collingswood. The financial reports were approved. They accepted 2 grants. The approval issued for an RFP for scheduling. Approval was issued for for field trips and out-of-district placements. They accepted resignation of the nurse who made a statement that she was leaving. They approved several personnel items, including several hires for the Wellness Center grant that was received by Collingswood a month or so ago. And they approved hiring 7 psychology interns. And that was about it.
All right. Thank you. And then we'll move to the Oakland Education Foundation report with Jimmy.
Hey, they met on the 19th of January over at the Manor Bar. They stated that they raised $301 for the candy sale that they did. And we were discussing a lot about the tech fund. And I think they were asking why we're not getting a whole lot of reports back from the school about what we could use for the tech fund. There was 4 Chromebook carts and projectors that were asked for, and I think we decided that we can't approve that. Is that right, Maurice? We discussed the Chromebook carts at like $400, $500 to $800 that were going back and forth from room to room. Remember? Okay, cool. All right, well, that's what I have written down. And then we were talking about doing some grants for the teachers that would be filtered through Miss Bolden. So the grant applications would go to the teachers. The grants would be filled out by the teachers. And we mentioned not pigeonholing a grant amount. Like if one teacher needed a $100 grant, that would be great. If one teacher needed a $500 grant, and that would be filtered through you, you would do the final approval on that before it sends over to OEF. And I think there was discussion about a bunch of broken headphones, and if maybe the tech fund could also fund some headphones for the students. Candy sales are coming back for Easter and Passover, and I think we discussed maybe doing Yankee Candle in the fall instead of candy sales because there's so much candy in Oaklyn. Let's do something else. And finally, we discussed maybe doing a fundraiser like a chili cook-off or something at the VFW. Yeah, that's all I got.
Thank you. Item 11.05 is the HIB reports from the previous month. Item 11.06 are a first reading of policies. There are 3 here, 0152, 0161, and 0162. And then 11.07 are 2 policies that are being abolished, which I'm kind of happy to see because it means there's a light at the end of the tunnel of the last 3 years. So, yeah, we're seeking approval for items 11.05 to 07, or is it 01 to 07? Sorry, I just blanked. Not on the reports. 11.05 to 11.07.
Yeah, 05 to 07.
Sorry, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion to approve those items?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any questions on any? Oh. Denise, you look like you're going to ask a question. Okay. Okay, I have one. The ones that we're removing, 1648.13, the school employee vaccination requirements, we're eliminating the requirement that these employees be vaccinated. What's the theory behind that? That COVID's done now and we don't need to worry about it?
Can't answer that question. Dr. McDowell, do you have any insight on that?
So initially, it came as a direct. It was a governor executive order that we had to comply with. It wasn't something. It wasn't a policy that we created. It was
Okay.
out of compliance, and so I guess the thinking behind it is that if in the future there is a need, the position has always been for the board to respect the individuals. But if an executive order comes in, we would then be forced to comply. But other than that, we would not keep that on our books.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions? On a roll call.
Mrs. Faupel,
Yes.
Mrs. Butchko,
Yes.
Mr. McMillan,
Yes.
Mrs. Ezekiel,
Yes.
Mrs. Marmion,
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer,
Yes.
Mr. Stoltz.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. We're down to item 12.01, which is our board member interview for our vacancy that we have on the
Hello
board.
over there. You want to come up to the microphone?
Yeah.
Nope, you pull up a chair too. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. This.
Yeah, we can hear you. Buddy, you should have a list of questions I put in front of you.
Yes. What I would ask everybody to do, there are 8 questions. Yeah, I did one. Okay.
But now Rich isn't here. So
Yeah, now Rich isn't here. Okay.
Somebody's going to have to go
What
twice.
I'll ask people to do, we're going to ask you a bunch of questions. 8
How
in
these
total.
work.
We'll start with Jimmy and do one, and then just work our way around the table, and then we'll go back to Jimmy. You get the second one, you lucky devil. We'll do that.
Don't blame me for the questions. They're not too interrogating.
Okay.
So the first one is discuss your background and explain why you would like to be a member of the Oakland Board of Education.
Sure. So I am a Oakland mother of 3. Professionally, I'm in healthcare. I've been for the past 20 years. I'm a chief operations officer at a private orthopedic practice. With that, I oversee very large scope, multiple different departments, both clinical and administrative. Business background by education, and then part of the main reason I'm here is my children. So I have 3 of those. The oldest is 8. She is in 3rd grade. My middle one is 6. He is in 1st grade. Got a little baby. He's 1 and change. So I'm here for them. People talk about. I told several people today that I work with, I'm going to go, interview for tomorrow. Are you crazy? Yeah, probably. But really, it's for crazy about my children. And if I could have a platform to impact positive change for them, rather than just read about things on Facebook and text about things, if I can have a seat at the table and make some of the decisions that are going to promote a better education for them, then why not? So I'm here.
Great. Hi, I'm
Hi.
Denise. What is your understanding of your role of a member of the Board of Education?
So I'm sure that if appointed, I would learn a lot about what the role of a board member is. But from my perspective, really, I just talked about being here as a parent, but board member is here to represent all of the children, in my opinion. So really balancing and being fair, not to just what's going to benefit my 3 kids, but like the greater group, the greater good of the community, and representing the best interest of Oakland School, acting in a respectful manner, giving people the right channels to voice concerns, helping make decisions, analyzing information to put us in a good direction, and all the other stuff that you guys do that I would learn with time.
Hi, I'm Therese, but you know me. Good to see you. Board members serve many roles as representatives of the community. What do you believe is the most important aspect of being a board member?
From a quality standpoint, like what would the most important quality of a board member, or the post? Again, I think it goes back to being fair and being empathetic and hearing what is going on with the school community, and there's so many, just even listening since I got here, there's the curriculum committee, the finance committee. I'm sure I'm not saying all of that correctly, but it sounds like there's those two committees and a third one, maybe school relations. All right. So I pay attention. I mean, out of those three, I guess it's really a balance. And I guess I think Ms. Coleman brought up seasonality and how the topics flux and when one becomes more important than another. Uh, as a mom of a child that was in kindergarten when COVID hit, curriculum is very important to me because I look at the work she's doing now. Shouldn't they be a little further along? Taxpayer finance is really important to me. So I think there's several different hats that board members have to wear, but I can't really put my finger on what's most important. I think there's probably a lot of equity among those values.
Todd Schaefer, thank you for applying for a vacancy. It's a very open-ended question here. What do you see as the major issues facing education today?
Biggest issue facing education today,
If you want to make it more
local.
for Oakland,
Okay.
that would be perfect as well.
That might be a. I have to, I give it to you guys. There's a lot of, I guess, different things that you need to navigate and really think through. I'm sure socially these children are at unprecedented times, and I think that's a huge challenge for them. When resources become thin and demands become high, I think that's a huge challenge. So how do you navigate that? Because you only have so many dollars to go around, but there's so many opportunities, and I'm sure everybody gets wide-eyed thinking about the different things that we can do with those funds to make it the best for our kids, but realistically, we can't do it all. So I think lack of resources is definitely a big issue. Or allocating what you have the right way. I'm not one to say that we need to increase spending at all. But what I'm saying is making strategic decisions on what to do with the funds that we have is probably, I think, one of the bigger challenges with education. And then socially, how our kids are growing up in a really strange world right now.
Thank you.
Hi, Jen. I'm Bill Stotts.
Hey, Bill.
Good to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, I have an easy one for you. What relationship would you expect to exist between you as the board member and the superintendent and the business administrator?
I would seek transparency and open communication. I would hope that we could be candid and respectful and have mutual goals. I would want responsiveness, and I would give the same in return. Information, I think transparency is really going to be important for the board as a whole.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. You're at an Oakland Little League game and you're approached by an angry or upset parent about a decision that was made involving his or her child. How would you handle the parent?
I don't think that could ever happen. No, I'm just kidding. In the event that it did, this is something that I actually can tie to my professional life. I listen to angry patients a lot. So if you compare the two, I think empathy goes a long way. So listening and validating the concern is super important. But also knowing your place as a board member, you can't fraternize. You can't join in the bashing, whether you agree or not. So I think understanding what your role is and what's appropriate. But then I think once you hear them out, give them options, give them resources. Here's what you can do. I'm glad you got that off your chest. Sorry that you're experiencing that. What's the root cause of their complaint? Is it something local? Do you encourage them? I don't think you have to attend everybody to a board meeting. You could certainly suggest it, but should they just go talk to a teacher? Should they just go talk to Ms. Bolden? So really just making some suggestions and giving them the proper pipeline that they should be escalating their concerns. Hey.
Right. Social media in its many forms is becoming an increasingly utilized tool for As a district, we've experienced both good and bad from the use of social media. In your view, what place does social media have in the overall operation of the district, and how does it fit into your role as a board member?
It's really our unprecedented times. I don't, 5 years ago, I don't even know that question would have been as prominent as it is. But again, I can compare that in my professional life because we're subject to, as caregivers, patient feedback, and a lot of it's on Yelp or Facebook. Social media, like to your point with the question being good and bad, is absolutely true. In a community that seeks transparency, is there an opportunity to use it to communicate information? Probably, but not everything's appropriate for a Facebook post. You're not going to put board business on a Facebook post, so it's probably not always the most appropriate. But I do think that instead of looking at it as a demon when the community's bashing it, look at it as an opportunity. Facebook is a lens. It is a way that we can see what the people feel. I think it's very unfiltered. It's probably not always the most well-written, great feedback that you would expect to hear in a different form or a different medium, but it's a good way to keep a finger on the pulse of what's going on in the community. And I wouldn't use it to communicate school business as a board member to get to that piece of the question, but I do think social media has its place, and I think it's a good indication of where people sit with what's going on.
Back to me. Is there any other information that you would like to share with us about your candidacy?
No, when I heard about the opportunity, I gave it some thought. It sounded like something I'd be very interested in. I walked into this meeting as Miss Barnett was presenting, and one of my children has benefited from the services that she gives, so it's kind of like opportune timing. I'm going to have, by the time my baby leaves Oaklyn, I guess my kids will have been here over the span of 15 years, so it would be an investment. I would see it as something that I would want to spend some time with. I wouldn't see this as like a one-year thing and then go, because they'd still all be here and I'd still love them all. So I would think that I'd be in it for a pretty decent amount of time.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
We will make a decision tonight, so you can hang around. We'll go into executive session briefly, and then we'll come back out into public session and take action at that point in time. Okay. Okay, item 12.02 is the Uniform Memorandum of Agreement with Law Enforcement, which we do every year. 12.02, okay. And is there a motion to approve that agreement?
So moved.
In a second. Thank you. Okay, are there any questions on it?
I have a question. Is the agreement attached somewhere?
Sorry?
The agreement's not on the agenda.
Yes.
Where's the agreement at?
You did memorize it, didn't you?
So we 2 weeks ago we had the Camden County convening with the prosecutor's office. So the signing event, we have not gotten back the signed copy. So on our end, everything has been signed. So the state and the county have to also sign. And so once that comes back, we'll be able to get you a hard copy. But our local law enforcement partners and the district, we've done all of our local signatures.
Okay, any other questions? Do I need a roll call on this?
Yes.
Okay.
Mrs. Flopel?
Yes.
Mrs. Bushko? Mr. McMillan?
Yes.
Mrs. Ezekiel?
Yes.
Mrs. Marmion?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mr. Strauss?
Yes. Okay. Okay, this is where we need to go into an executive session at this point in time. I'm sorry? Okay, yeah. Is there a motion to go into executive session to discuss appointment of a board member?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Okay. We're in executive. I'm sorry.
We're going to go in that classroom there.
Oh, we're going to go in there? Yep. Okay. Stay put, guys. We'll walk all the way over there.
About 5 to 10 minutes, probably. I hate these chairs. Yes, please. So we need a motion to come out, a motion to approve, and a roll call.
Okay. Yep. Is there a motion to come out of executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. All those in favor? Opposed? Okay, we're in public session again. Now, is there a motion on our new board member to be?
Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
I'm sorry. Okay, moved and seconded. On a roll call, please.
Mrs. Valpel?
Yes.
Mrs. Butchko?
Yes.
Mr. McMillan?
Yes.
Mrs. Ezekiel?
Yes.
Mrs. Marmion?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mr. Stotts?
Yes.
Welcome, Jen.
Our condolences, Jack.
What we'll do is we'll swear you in at the next meeting. This way, if you want to have your family here for pictures and everything, if you want like a little, a little cheering section, we can do the official swearing in. It's March 14th at 6:30. Okay. So I give you a little chance to kind of get your family together.
At 6:30, but we're going to invite you to a committee meeting it'll be the Tuesday before the 14th. I guess that's the 7th. Pretty good. So you'll be on a committee with Therese at this point in time, pending what else we do with the committees. But that'll get you involved.
And Beth Ann, you'll get her an email address, or you'll talk to. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll
that's
get you
what
all set up in board docs. We'll get you an oaklandschool.org email address. I'll make sure you get all that information.
And thank you very much for your interest.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for volunteering. I appreciate it.
Down to adjournment, huh? Oh, public participation. As this is the second public participation section. This one you can discuss anything you want in, but it's the same ground rules. Stan, come up to the mic, give us your name and address, and try and keep your comments to 5 minutes or less. Is there anyone that has anything to bring to the board at this point? Okay, hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? Meeting's adjourned. 8 o'clock, I wasn't